award-winning mortgage broker and financial advice firm Infinity Group Australia, helping everyday Australians pay off their mortgages years in advance. They've got their expertise and customer-centric approach. We're going to find out about that because the group say they aim to help their clients to achieve mortgage-free home ownership as quickly as possible. They're saying it could be 7 to 10 years, a maximum of 15. It's no longer the never, never. So how are they doing that? Graeme Holm joins us now from Infinity Group Australia. Graeme, how are you doing?
Good morning, Aaron. How are you?
What sort of businessman tries to put himself out of business?
Well, it's an interesting question, but our philosophy is that people shouldn't be chained to a 30-year mortgage. They should be able to pay off multiple homes or invest with their money in other capacities or other areas. So we want to help the families beat the bank.
So obviously right now, there are a lot of families really worried about the bank and certainly really worried about their mortgages as this uncertainty carries on as well. Have you really noticed that there's been an increase or a decrease when it comes to interest in talking to your company over the past few months?
Absolutely, Aaron. There's been a significant increase, several 100% actually, of people inquiring not just around restructuring and refinancing. And the first home buyers is quite robust at the moment, but people are really digging deep into the education space. They really want to get a better financial literacy. They're really keen to understand how they can improve their position. And we're seeing such an abundance of inquiry for financial education at the moment.
And what sort of education are people generally going for? Is it different? Is it case specific? Or are they essentially trying to find out what's the best path forward?
Yeah, it's case specific, obviously, but a lot of people are looking for that generic education that perhaps was lacking through school or through tertiary studies. And they're really wanting to understand how they can not just adopt a product A or product B from maybe a major four lender. And they're really looking for alternatives in the current environment. And it's pleasing to see that people are realising they don't have to follow the big four.
So interesting you say that, isn't it? We look back at our education, there was hardly anything about finance or about saving or why you should save or anything like that. I think most of my friends came out of school and got a credit card and were almost bankrupt by 20. But in terms of understanding which way to go for a generation that it's now, and the importance of saving too, talk to us about the education programs that you guys are looking at, of course, in 2020 during the pandemic.
Yeah, you've really nailed it there, and we actually start life upside down. We get the credit card, we get the car loan, so we can get to the job and perhaps the HECS debt as well. And we're really starting upside down. So we've got a really core focus on taking people through a journey of understanding how money works, how their taxable income versus their gross income, net income, and what they can be doing with it and how. I mean, even just the fact of debt at all and interest being calculated daily, a lot of people aren't aware. And they've got these 5 or 6 savings accounts thinking that they're saving for a rainy day. Well, that baffles me. Does that mean that if it doesn't rain, we don't spend our money? There's some old analogies there that really baffle me. So we're spending a lot of time just getting into grassroots and some really simple things that people aren't learning at school or university. And just taking it back to basics, even budgeting. Old school budgeting is the biggest winner right now for people.
You'll be happy to know I never got my pen license in grade 4. So I'm still on pencils around the office here because of that. Talk to us about, of course, where you see a lot of people making mistakes with their money.
Yeah, just last week, Aaron, we had a family come to us. They'd spent $1,282 in a 7-day period just on Coles, Woolworths, Aldi. So all three, they were no preference, as well as Uber Eats and Deliveroo.
Well, that's where the money went.
That's where the money went.
You needed to start on that. You did the upside down triangle there. That's where the money went.
It's all going on food. It's predominantly going on food, takeaway. It's really unnecessary spending, and that's a lot of the education we focus on.
Absolutely.
Is what do you actually need versus what do you actually want? And if you
you
focus
can't
on
ask someone that at 10 p.m. at night because it's always going to be a couple of cakes and maybe get the chips and a meat tray sent over to your house. Just quickly, we've got to wrap up. We're coming to the end of the show. How do we find out about you guys?
Absolutely. You can jump on our website, which is www.money-mentor.com.au, and reach out to us about one of our education sessions.
Okay. Graeme Holm there from Infinity Group Australia. Thanks so much for your time.